to do our first project with Visual Studio for Mac 2017. This used to be Xamarin, but now it's reshaped by Microsoft and it looks a lot like the Visual Studio on the PC. There are some differences, but overall the interface is simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a new project. I'm going to say this is a new project. It's going to be a .NET project, so this is our first .NET application. It's going to be a degree converter from Fahrenheit degrees to Celsius, so super simple. And then I'm going to start with an empty ASP.NET project, and I'm going to click Next. Now, do I want to include any of this? Not for the first project. This is a very simple, just this is how it works on a Mac kind of video. So we need to assign it a project name, so we're going to call it web sample. And then a solution name. Microsoft organizes, Visual Studio organizes things in solutions. And then each solution can have one or more projects. So this is basically where it's storing things. And then I'm going to just click Create. Now my solution has been created, and then there's these things here, the Solution Explorer, which by default on Microsoft is on the right-hand side. But other than that, I mean, there are many differences. This toolbox, properties, and so on and so forth, they usually go under the solution in Microsoft Visual Studio, but it's by and large the same thing. So what we're going to do here is we're going to click on the project, right? So this is the solution, this is the project. We're going to right click here, or you can also go to File, Add. We're going to go to Add, and we're going to add a new file. And this file is going to be a web form. Okay, we're going to create a web form. We're going to call it default, which is the basic web page that ASP.NET starts with, and then click New. So we can see that we have our default.aspx here, and then there's some slightly coded thing here that we get. So first we're going to see that the language is going to be C# for this web page, right? And then we see that there's a form, because we wanted a web form. So in order to make a converter from Fahrenheit to Celsius, I need this form to have like a little element where I put the degrees in Fahrenheit and a submit button where I submit the degrees in Fahrenheit so that they're converted into Celsius. So we start this by doing an input. It's going to be a text, right? There's always, not always, but most likely there's going to be help for whatever it is that you're doing. We'll see that it's type text. And then we have to give it an ID if we want to use this. So the ID is going to be here Fahrenheit. Whoops, wrong ID. It's going to be Fahrenheit, right? And just that for now. That's like a regular element would work on a form. Now, because I want to access this in my server code, we want to add this little line here with this little attribute, which is run at server. Okay. Now, the next thing we needed, remember, is a submit button. Submit, there it is. We also wanted to be able to access and use server services. Okay. And then for the submit, we're going to put a value, which is going to be convert. So the button itself is going to say convert. So this is my form. There. All right. Now once I hit convert, I want the answer, the degrees in Celsius, to appear somewhere. I'm going to use span for that. Span area. I'm going to give it an ID. It's going to call it answer. And I also wanted to be able to access it from the server, so the server can put the value there. So I'm going to add this, and that's my span. So this is all good. Now what I need is to put code that actually will, in the server, on the server side of this web page, code that will get this Fahrenheit and convert it into Celsius and put it in this answer field. So I'm going to create a little function in C#. It's going to be private void. Why void? Because I don't need to return anything. I'm actually going to manipulate the web page myself. And it's going to be called convert to Celsius. And it will receive two parameters that when you submit a form, these two parameters have to be there. The first one is of type object, and it's going to be sender. And the second one is of type events args. Events arg, that's going to be call E. So now we start this here. So the first line here is because the Fahrenheit degrees are text, I need to convert them to a double so I can perform the math to convert this, right? So I'm going to create a double variable called f that's going to be equal to convert. Convert is the object that will convert things in C# from one type to the other, to double. And now I want this field. Now because this ID is Fahrenheit and I run it on the server, because the ID of it is Fahrenheit and I run it on the server, I can actually access this Fahrenheit variable as an HTML object. So I'm going to say Fahrenheit.value. So I'm going to convert the value into a double F. Then I'm going to have a double C for Celsius, which is going to be really Fahrenheit minus 32 times 5 divided by 9. This is just the formula to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius. And then I'm going to put this in this answer field. Now, because the ID here is answer, I can actually access that HTML object. So I'm going to say answer.innerHTML. Case is important here. It's going to be a string with the conversion of Celsius. Now this all looks really good, but the thing is that I have not told my form to actually execute this code. What I need for that is to put here a little event called on server click. Okay, on server click, and then the actual function on the server side that I'm going to use. In this case, convert to Celsius. And this is really all the code that I need. So I have two typos here that I'm going to fix. It's event args, and then it's convert to double. So we're going to try it and see what happens. So it opened the browser, and then here's the text and convert. I know that 32 degrees Fahrenheit should convert to 0 Celsius. Perfect. And then I also know that 100 degrees Fahrenheit is about 37.7 Celsius. That's perfect. So the way this works is by you submit the 100 and that goes to the server. The server processes it and gives you the 37. And if you actually look at the source code of this page, there's no C# here. There's no C# whatsoever, and this is the whole source code of this page. That's it. You actually see the 37.7 actually being, written on the source code of the page because it's generated on the server side. And that concludes our little demo. You don't forget to hit stop after you're done, and then you can continue coding.